Welcome back. Now, a business group Sakeliga says it will challenge the exemption of power utility Eskom from reporting irregular spending for the next 2 years. Now, Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana has exempted the power utility from Section 55(2)(b)(1 of the Public Finance Management Act for the last financial year and the next two. Now, this has prompted widespread shock from energy experts and the broader public. Sekaliga is demanding that the minister provide reasons for this decision, that Eskom does not need to declare irregular expenditure as well as fruitless and wasteful expenditure in its financial statements. Piet le Roux is Sakeliga's Chief Executive Officer and he joins us now via Zoom. Piet, thanks so much for your time. Welcome to Morning Live.
Like, good to be with you.
So Treasury on Friday, that was the 31st of March, gazetted the exemption, which it said is being done in line with the Public Finance Management Act and the specific provision, therefore. Is it possible to challenge a matter that has been gazetted already? And on what grounds will you be doing so?
Yes, it's definitely possible to challenge a matter that has been gazetted, as it is to challenge any decision by a state official, by a minister. Any decision taken by a minister in the course of his completion of the doing of his duty is reviewable, is challengeable, because it's not always correct. And that is why we have seen over the years multiple cases against decisions by state officials being successful. There are certain standards that these decisions need to be complied with. One, it needs to be legal. It also needs to be rational. It also needs to be reasonable. And all of these are grounds for review. And certainly this is why we are starting this process, to get from the minister his record, his reasons in his own direct words. But on the face of it, we cannot see how this is legal or reasonable and rational. And so our legal team is looking into this, but pending the answer from the minister, it's definitely possible, as with all ministerial and other state decisions, to have this reviewed on grounds of several grounds.
So just looking at the situation and how it's unfolded, of course, not the first time, because they did it with Transnet previously. So why this one and not the Transnet one? Why didn't you challenge that?
Well, the Government Gazette is a thick book, and it's full of potentially irregular activities. And so we regularly comment on proposals for laws and regulations. And from time to time, we do challenge some of these regulations. But we do not keep tabs on all of it. And what happened here was that this came to light and it was brought to our attention. The Transnet one was not. We've only more recently become aware of that. So we're focusing on what we knew as soon as we knew it. And as more information comes to light, we'll consider the reasonability and lawfulness of that as well. But this is being challenged by Sakeliga because this has now come to our attention.
So, as I understand it, Sakeliga will also be challenging the Auditor General. So, talk to us about that and the action against the Auditor General. Why?
Well, the Auditor General has done a lot of good work in South Africa and is an important entity created in the Constitution to ensure to ensure transparency and accessibility from the public side to understand what is going on within state-owned entities, municipalities, and so on. She does this through the audit process. Now, again, a while back, just over a year or so ago, it became to our attention that the Auditor General, of course, makes public a lot of her reports, but that there are certain reports, so-called management reports, that she does not make public. And we laid our hands on some of these management reports through court processes against collapsed municipalities in Northwest. And we realized the importance of these management reports because they detail corrupt activities, fruitless and wasteful expenditure. They make it very easy for the public to understand who in the municipality is responsible for its collapse potentially, and they make it very easy to see where corruption happened. And so it's crucial that that information becomes publicly available so that communities in the collapsing municipalities all across this country can better intervene in the collapse that is happening before their eyes and is causing them not to have water and electricity and so on. So we approached that, of course, first in correspondence with the Auditor General through PIA applications, and in the end she stood by a decision not to make that public, and we now approaching the High Court to have those records made public. We, of course, are asking for them, and we intend to release them to the public once we get that. We argue that the Auditor General has a constitutional duty to make all her reports, and this is very explicit in the Constitution, available to the public.
So I'm sure the public would welcome that, Piet, but, you know, Eskom on their part, just quite apart from the public, the Auditor General, Eskom says that wasteful and irregular expenditure will still be reported in their integrated report, but of course not in its annual financial statements. Would this make enough of a difference, do you believe, or do you want complete transparency on this matter?
Well, the Act is clear that it needs to be in the financial statements. And of course, we can look at the reasons once the Minister formally provides it to us. But from the reasons in the letters we've seen between the Minister and Eskom, it appears that it's very clearly is the purpose of this exemption to make it possible for Eskom to receive clean audits where it would otherwise not have received clean audits. That is possibly a so-called fruitless facta, or an attempt to make it possible by the workings of law what would otherwise be illegal. This exemption, we do not see the grounds for that. It's a mechanism to achieve a clean audit without having the kind of company that's worthy of a clean audit. And so that is not acceptable to put it in some other report so that you circumvent the operation of normal audit processes. What Eskom should be doing is be a company that runs efficiently, spends regularly, does not commit wasteful and fruitless expenditure. That is the standard it has to meet. And if the Minister thinks that some of these standards are in the Public Finance Management Act are inappropriate, then the standards should be reviewed. But you cannot give a blank check exemption to make it possible for them just not to declare anything of that nature anymore, and then think that we'll have a clean audit and a good power company. That's certainly the way to ruin.
So just to bottom line it for us, Piet, so as Sakeliga, what next? What are you doing, and what is the ultimate objective?
The ultimate objective is a good environment for business in the public interest for all the communities where a business in South Africa operates, and that's everywhere. That's Sakeliga's ultimate objective. As part of that objective, it's very important to give the public good information and access to what state-owned entities are doing with their money, and especially in the case of monopolies like Eskom. We have written to the Minister, we have asked for his reasons, we have insisted that on the face of this, it looks to us that he should immediately be retracting that exemption. If he does not, depending then on his reasons, which we will consider, we intend to undertake legal action unless he provides us with reasons that convinces us to do otherwise. Currently, we see no indication that this decision by him should not be reviewed.
And did you give a time frame as to when you would like to have that response by from the Minister?
Yes, by Tuesday next week.
Right. We'll leave it there. Thanks so much. Piet le Roux, Sakeliga Chief Executive Officer. And we'll, of course, bring you more on this. We'll be speaking to Ismail Momoniat from Treasury, as well as in the following hour, we'll speak to Kaya Sitole for some analysis on this particular matter. But there you have it from Sakeliga. They will be taking this up, awaiting a response from the Minister, and then they will be weighing up their options beyond that. So let us know your thoughts as well at Morning Live SABC.